Testing sound. The idea of one's own absence outlines a space outside of what is known, outline, drawing out a room for the imaginary, drawn out, called into being, breathing. When the trains run, organising principles to the houses that preceded them, such as linear and graded ordering of space, but ultimately the scope of the domestic order to encompass larger and larger populations and more elaborate monuments reached its limit. The later Neolithic saw a vengeful return of the agrios in the form of warlike artifact styles and single grave burials, which together reinstated a concern with masculinity, violence, hunting, death, and the wild world beyond the house, not even granted visibility, especially trans autistics and autistics of colour who face higher risks of exclusion and abuse. Beyond the obvious limits of this image, it is used to position human as a necessary, more desirable status to hold. A recent neuroscience study described autistics' brains as a failed domestication of the human brain. In turn, medicine continues to strive to domesticate these young white autistic boys to save them from a non-human existence. As medicine has failed to explain us and correction therapies have failed to fix us, we have become neuroscience's fetish and white colonizers' greatest fear. The bodies of the colonists and your bodies, esteemed psychoanalysts, will be buried with the trans organs you have taken from us. But the organs that we do not have can never be buried. Our utopian organs will live on eternally. They will be the warriors storming the borders. As Young points out, when conventions change, it often happens quickly rather than slowly. Once a crucial threshold is crossed and a sufficient number of people have made the change, positive feedback reinforces the new way of doing things, and the transition is completed rapidly. Young describes punctuated equilibria as a key feature of such dynamics. Long periods of stability are interspersed with rapid periods of change. It is clean relations to check in with a loved one, to ask if there is anything that can be done to soothe a stressful space after a disagreement. It is clean relations to let your friend know that what she said landed on a sensitive spot, how you are handling that, and what you might need from her. Bert nodded and said in a whisper, "Maidens." "Right," said Blackbeard. "Well, that couldn't be endured forever, nor the thought of him sitting on all that treasure." So after the League grew strong and the archipelago wasn't so busy with wars and piracy, it was decided to attack Pendor, drive out the dragon, and get the gold and jewels for the treasury of the League. They're forever wanting money, the League is. For in pre-capitalist Europe, women's subordination to men had been tempered by the fact that they had access to the commons and other communal assets, while in the new capitalist regime, women themselves became the commons, as their work was defined as a natural resource, laying outside the sphere of market relations. When my turn came, I had to write my name on a piece of paper and give it to a guy to speak it for me. The teacher wrote me a message on a piece of paper. "Are you deaf?" "Yes, I'm deaf," I said. Then she told me to leave the room. I waited outside for a few minutes and the teacher came out and said, "Sorry, the class is not open to deaf individuals. Go back to the dorm."